I don't even know why I would intend to hit anybody in the eye. That doesn't even make sense to me. But no, I didn't. I didn't know I hit her, actually.
It was not called a foul, by the way. It should have been a foul after I've seen it. That caught Caitlin Clark in the eye. Ultimately, she ended up getting a black eye out of it.
You're chilling, watching the playoffs, and bam! Caitlin Clark gets poked in the eye 90 seconds into the game. No foul called. What's going on here? Was it just a crazy accident, or did someone have it out for the rookie sensation? Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now back to the video. Picture this. The Indiana Fever and Connecticut Sun, two teams with a heated rivalry, facing off in a high-stakes playoff game. The crowd's going wild, and all eyes are on Caitlin Clark, the star rookie who's been lighting up the league. But then, out of nowhere, Clark gets poked right in the eye. It's so early in the game, you'd think it was during warm-ups. And get this, the refs don't even blow the whistle. No foul, nothing. It's like they didn't even see it happen.
It was not called a foul, by the way. It should have been a foul after I've seen it. That caught Caitlin Clark in the eye. Ultimately, she ended up getting a black eye out of it.
Now, here's where things get interesting. Was this just a freak accident in the heat of the moment, or was there something more to it? These teams have bad blood, and Clark's been a target all season. You know what they say? Where there's smoke, there's fire. What do you think really went down on that court? Think this was just a one-time thing? Think again. Clark's rookie season has been a roller coaster of rough plays and questionable calls. The eye poke? That's just the tip of the iceberg. Let's break down what happened on that court. In the heat of the game, players are moving fast, arms are flying, and sometimes accidents happen. Basketball is a contact sport after all. But when you look at the slow-mo replay, something doesn't add up. The way that hand moved towards Clark's face, it's raising eyebrows among fans and analysts alike. Now here's where it gets wild. Clark's been facing more flagrant fouls this season than any other player in the WNBA. It's like she's got a bullseye on her jersey or something.
Dejanay Carrington mocking Caitlin Clark on the court, played a very physical game with her.
I mean, this is seriously literal hate crimes going down on live TV. 100% intentional.
Every game, it seems like someone's trying to rough her up. Coincidence? Maybe. But when you see a pattern like that, you've got to wonder. And let's talk about this Fever-Sun rivalry. These teams have history, and it ain't pretty. There's bad blood on the court, and Clark's been caught in the crossfire all season long. When you've got that kind of tension, sometimes players let their emotions get the best of them. Could that explain what went down in those first 90 seconds? But here's the kicker. Clark's not just any rookie. She's a sensation, a game changer. And you know what happens to players who shake things up? They become targets. Veterans don't always take kindly to newcomers stealing the spotlight. Is that what we're seeing here? Now, I'm not saying it was definitely intentional, but when you look at the big picture, the rivalry, the pattern of rough play, Clark's star status, it makes you wonder, was this eye poke just another oops in a fast-paced game? Or was it part of a larger strategy to throw Clark off her game? Remember, this isn't the first time Clark's faced some questionable treatment on the court. All season long, she's been dealing with extra physical play. It's like some players have decided the best way to stop her is to literally stop her by any means necessary. You've got to give Clark credit though. Despite all this, she's been balling out game after game, but you can't help but wonder how much is too much.
Many of these girls in the WNBA, but she's at the top of the list along with Kennedy Carter in Chicago and Angel Reese. Dejanay has a history with Caitlin Clark.
At what point does physical play cross the line into something more dangerous? The league's got to be looking at this closely. If star players like Clark are getting targeted, it's not just unfair, it could be dangerous. And let's be real, it's not great for the game either. Fans want to see amazing plays and fierce competition, not cheap shots and dirty tricks. So what's the verdict? Accident or dirty play? The truth is, we may never know for sure. But one thing's clear, Clark's been dealing with this kind of treatment all season long. This eye poke, it might just be the most visible example of a problem that's been brewing under the surface. Now, let's talk about what happened after that eye poke. Clark's stats took a nosedive, but she's saying it didn't affect her game. Something doesn't add up here, and it's got everyone talking. You'd think a superstar like Caitlin Clark would be sidelined after taking a hit like that, right? But nope, she was back on the court, black eye and all. Talk about tough.
That's how twisted and screwed up this WNBA thing and this sexuality thing is they got going on in the WNBA.
But here's the thing, her game wasn't quite the same. Clark only managed to put up 11 points, shooting .417 from the field and a rough .213 from three-point range. That's way below her usual standards. But get this, Clark's not making any excuses. She's out there saying the injury didn't mess with her game. You've got to admire the confidence, but come on! With stats like that and a shiner to boot, it's hard to believe it didn't have some impact. Now let's zoom out for a second. This wasn't just any game, this was the playoffs. The Indiana Fever fought hard all season to break their 7-year playoff drought, and Clark was a big reason why. She's been absolutely crushing it in her rookie season, averaging 19.2 points per game and leading the league in assists. That's insane for a first-year player. But here's where it gets really interesting. This eye poke incident, it's not just about one game or one player. It's part of a bigger story about Clark's impact on the entire league. She's not just playing well, she's changing the game. Fans are tuning in to watch her play, jersey sales are through the roof, and she's bringing a whole new energy to the WNBA. And you know what's even crazier? This setback might just make her story even more compelling. Think about it, a rookie sensation gets knocked down in her first playoff game, but refuses to stay down. That's the kind of story sports fans live for. But let's be real for a second. This incident raises some serious questions about player safety in the league. If a star player like Clark can get poked in the eye with no foul called, what does that mean for everyone else on the court? The WNBA's got to be taking a hard look at this. Despite all this drama, Clark's not letting it slow her down. She's already talking about bouncing back for the next game. That's the kind of resilience that turns good players into legends. And let's be honest, the Fever need her at her best if they want to keep their playoff dreams alive. So what's next for Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever? Will this eye poke incident light a fire under them, or will it throw them off their game? One thing's for sure, all eyes will be on Clark in the next game.
It wasn't intentional by any means. You just watched the play. It wasn't intentional.
Looking directly at her, bringing her hand down directly at her eye. To me, she committed a crime and a police report should be filed.
Can she shake off this setback and come back stronger, or will this be the beginning of the end for the Fever's playoff run? You think this eye poke is just about Caitlin Clark? Think again. This incident isn't just shaking up one player's game, it's got the whole WNBA world buzzing. Fans aren't just talking about Clark's comeback anymore. They're questioning the very soul of the sport. Let's zoom out for a second. This eye poke? It's not just about one dirty play or even one intense rivalry. It's sparking a major debate about what the WNBA stands for. Are we okay with star players getting roughed up on the court? Where's the line between fierce competition and straight up dangerous play? Here's the kicker. Clark's been dealing with more flagrant fouls this season than any other player in the league. That's not just bad luck, it's a pattern. And fans are starting to notice. They're getting louder, demanding better protection for players. It's not just about Clark anymore. It's about every player who steps on that court. But here's where things get really interesting. The WNBA, they're staying quiet. Not a peep about the incident. And that silence, it's speaking volumes. Fans are starting to wonder, does the league even care about player safety? Are they willing to let their stars take hit after hit just to keep the games exciting? This isn't just about one black eye or one missed call. It's about trust. Fans tune in to see amazing basketball, not to watch their favorite players get knocked around. If the league doesn't step up, they might start losing more than just games. Now, don't get me wrong, basketball's a physical sport. There's always going to be contact, but there's a big difference between tough play and dirty tricks. Fans are calling for Carrington to be suspended. They want accountability. They want to know that when they cheer for their team, they're cheering for fair play too. This whole situation is forcing everyone to take a hard look at the game. What do we value more, wins at any cost, or a sport where talent and hard work are what matter most? It's not an easy question to answer, but it's one that the WNBA can't ignore anymore. Here's the crazy part. This eye poke might end up being the best thing to happen to the WNBA in years. Not because anyone wants to see players get hurt, but because it's forcing everyone to have some real talk about player safety. We might see some big changes coming. Stricter rules, better refs, maybe even new ways to protect players on the court. And let's be real, these changes, they're long overdue. The WNBA's got some of the best athletes in the world. They